Thank you, guys. All right. Thanks for coming back. I know it's late in the day, and I do appreciate you returning to the next to the last session. So, based on my watch, I've got a bit of replanning to do. We are already behind schedule. How many times did you hear that today? Right, our projects run behind schedule. So, being someone that has spent 35 years in the engineering and construction industry, 10 of them with a software company, I'll do my best to virtually replan this as we go through the day. So what's in a name? And I want you to pay close attention that this is the first opportunity that Oracle has had to present to buildingSMART International. My team and I represent a small piece of the bigger Oracle ecosystem. And that ecosystem that we represent is focused on construction and engineering. So my business unit focuses on the built environment, and it really captures everything from planning through to operations. Okay? So because it's my first time, we might as well get right into standards. One of Oracle's standards is I cover the presentation with a safe harbor statement. There are several individuals in the room that may be going through a procurement cycle with us. Everything I say today, of course, is just our general direction. So there's a standard for you. Our mission has been clear. When I joined the GBU 10 years ago, we came up with a mission statement. We've tried to change this several times, but we really keep coming back to it. Transform the world by helping organizations plan, build, and operate critical assets. For us, we want to help you do that cheaper, faster, better, smarter, fairer, and safer. It's a very simple mission statement. Why do we do what we do? As I mentioned, it's 35 years for me that I've been out of university, civil engineering background, but it really comes down to three basic tenets. The folks on my team, we want to help improve the quality of life for the citizens in our neighborhoods, in our towns and cities. What do I mean by that? For people that are delivering large infrastructure and capital projects, we want to take conflict out of their lives. We want to get them home to their families sooner. We want to help them improve the quality of life. The second one is optimization efficiency. The example that I always give here, let's build 10 hospitals for the cost of 8. One step further, let's build the best water treatment facilities in the world so that we can absolutely reduce the amount of hospitals that we need. As you know, water quality in much of the world is still a big issue. And then third, for me, I've had the opportunity to deliver a lot of large assets when I was in the industry, and to be proud of those and the quality of that infrastructure or those assets that we're building. So I get my team excited about these three tenets every day. A little bit more about Oracle, because this is our first time. So you may have an idea of what Oracle does. We have a big company, 140,000 plus employees, $40 billion in annual revenue. We represent a very small piece of that. So if I get through this, there are 8 global business units that represent a segment of Oracle. Those business units are usually created on the back of an acquisition. So we have industry focused around telecommunications, construction and engineering, retail, hospitality, utilities, and banking. The one that's near and dear to my heart was the one that we started after the Primavera acquisition. So 10 years ago, we bought a company called Primavera Systems that brought us into the scheduling world. So the global business unit was created, and its goal, and it has been this way for 10 years, is to help plan, build, and operate the world's infrastructure. We look at it from an owner's perspective all the way through the facilities and asset management. And again, tying into our mission, making it faster, fairer, smarter, better, and safer for the people that work in those industries. We've heard a lot today about problems. We have hundreds of problems, right? It's a very complex supply chain. We know that. It's not just one that we're trying to solve. We also heard throughout the day that our applications and our data is very fragmented, right? Separate databases, separate containers. What that leads to, and I think we see this in most presentations, a lack of visibility and control. So this is the why. Why are we here and what are we trying to accomplish? Now listen, my father and my grandfather were both constructors. So I'm third generation construction. I started my career out doing as they did, designing, engineering, and building. 10 years ago, I made a decision to go do something different to help drive this. Listen, throughout today, we heard many presenters talk about the negativity of being over budget and over cost. I take that personally. This is not something that I'm proud of because I've been part of the industry for a long time. I now am part of a company that's trying to change those issues. But this is something we need to take serious. I don't want to be just above farming and hunting when it comes to digitization and technology. So that's a bit of my passion. We're going to drive through that. Oracle has a host of solutions. I'm not going to get into the products specifically, but one thing I will talk about is we do look at our solutions that start with the owner and that run all the way through the O&M and even to the decommissioning. Again, trying to drive insights which will lead to control and better visibility of our projects. Okay? So part of the advantage of being with Oracle is we get to take advantage of security and scalability. The big Oracle helps us when we try to wrap security around our solutions and to have the ability to scale. We heard a lot today about comprehensive and connected. We have been working diligently for the last 3 years on making sure not only our stuff and our solutions work together, but also the broader ecosystem. 2 years ago, we started putting data into our data lake, and more importantly, our common data environment. We are thrilled with the progress that we have made. We are also very thrilled that customers, owners, constructors, architects, subcontractors, the entire ecosystem has contributed to our data lake. I had one firm provide me with 10,000 schedules of vertical construction all over the world. We put some metadata on top of that, and we can then drive insights. What was driving delays? What was driving overruns? And it's not always what you think, right? It could have been a labor shortage in one part of the world. It could have been a union strike in another part. It could have been key staff turnover. One of the insights that we've drawn from the data is when a project manager leaves the project, it's probably because there was bad news on that project. So trying to drive insights with our customers on what the data means, very important to us. Also in my team are people that have experience like myself. The folks that I work with every day are industry experts, people that have been in the industry a long time. So a little bit on who we are, what we do, and why it matters. Briefly, remember, stay focused on who we are, Construction Engineering Global Business Unit, one very small piece of Oracle. But these are numbers that we're very proud of. On our development team, people that focus on the built environment, there's 1,200 folks. Business analysts, developers, UX experience, and the likes. That's a big number, okay? Every day, full-time employers. We have billions of documents. We have billions of transmittals. The one number that every time I see it is amazing. We process $7 billion of cost and subcontractor payments in the cloud every month. There is no larger set of cloud cost and payment data in the world. The U.S. Department of Labor uses our data to predict construction starts, okay? So one example of how data in the cloud and having the ability to collaborate on that data is making a big difference. So a couple things in the spirit of the conference around standardization. A colleague of mine found a couple great quotes. around standards. So you can see here, Edwin, our chief corporate architect, speaks to the importance of standards in everything that we do. Edwin has been with the company for almost 30 years, so he knows all aspects of Oracle. Standards have been part of our DNA since the company was started in the mid-'70s. Another one I thought was very interesting was from Mike Cecilia. Mike actually is the global vice president that looks after the GBUs. Mike has led product strategy and development for over 25 years, and Mike's always starts with standards. So our software development strategy always begins with a really solid standards. So 2 great examples of standards and use of standards at Oracle. So shifting gears a bit, I've had the opportunity over the last year to meet with the largest owners, EPCs, and constructors in the world. And the question that I posed as I traveled the world, what do you envision the construction site or your work site look like in the year 2030? So if you will come on a quick journey with me, I've put my findings into an animation that I hope you enjoy.
We are in an era of rapid digital innovation. Technological advances are coming together to reshape every aspect of project delivery. And Oracle is focused on helping organizations navigate the accelerating transformation of how and where we work. The worksite of tomorrow isn't confined to a place, it's everywhere. Distance has become irrelevant as 5G connected devices instantaneously access site data, like physical data and depth sensing cameras. BIM data is experienced in virtual reality, augmented reality, and holograms. Autonomous vehicles carry workers to and from job sites, allowing them to work uninterrupted while en route. Work sites themselves are safer and more efficient than ever before. Wearable sensors deliver security and safety by verifying worker identities and training. In the event of an accident, these same sensors alert first responders with the worker's vitals and exact location. Connected and autonomous construction equipment operate alongside crews, performing repetitive and high-risk tasks while tools capture project data. Powered exoskeletons enhance a worker's performance while eliminating injuries. Productivity skyrockets. Sensors continuously collect and benchmark performance data. AI and machine learning algorithms assess risk, schedule tasks, coordinate activities, adjust plans in real time, and report progress to stakeholders. In the everywhere worksite, meetings are virtual. Workers and stakeholders use visualization tools to ensure everyone is aligned. Technology streamlines entire industries, delivering rapid advances in productivity and quality. New materials are developed using nanotechnology. Embedded sensors enable real-time tracking and monitoring of environmental conditions, reducing cost and risk. Companies offer their customers a selection of digital models that can be prefabricated or 3D printed. A digital twin of the physical asset collects and analyzes data throughout its life cycle. All these connections across the project lifecycle optimize processes and unlock data-driven insights to drive continuous improvement. This future is already taking shape as the digital and physical worlds increasingly blend. Now that you've glimpsed what's to come, it's time to visit your tomorrow today.
So one quick point to make on the animation, and again, this is from the voice of our customers. There wasn't a single technology in that animation that's not available today. Now, maybe not at scale, maybe your organizations aren't using it widely, but in every single aspect of that animation, it's available today. You can go to your local rental facility, and in the US, it's United Rentals being the biggest, and you can rent an exoskeleton to assist you in your work. You can use drone technology and capture for virtual captures. So what I wanted to do is really focus on the everywhere worksite, everything is connected, and then data, both big and small, truly matter. So the single most requested animation that I've put together is that one, and we actually just made it public on our website. So if that could help you in your organizations drive digitization and transformation, please go out there and use it. I could say I think we've had 10,000 people view that animation before we released it on our website. And a lot of that was customers asking me, Andy, I need that in my boardroom. I need to convey the message of digitization to my organization. So that's out there for your use. Listen, I can go through these very quickly. We've heard a lot of this today. I will put my own context into a couple of these. We know the industry is huge, right? We also know that mega projects have increased over the last 15 years from 4% to 21%. I take some concern when I hear people say that the engineering, construction, AEC industry lacks investment. I think they've got the measurement wrong. I think IT, there's a lack of investment. Listen, I was a CIO for 2 global companies for over 20 years. I always got squeezed on budget, right, and probably lived within that less than 1% spend. But that didn't mean that my organization wasn't very innovative in driving the technology that mattered to deliver. And what I mean by that is I think 20 years ago, structural engineers using programs to help design bridges, right? So I do take some concern when I see numbers like, yes, IT, less than 1%, but plenty of spend in the engineering and construction industry on other, right? And then, as the animation pointed out, the digital disruption is immense. It's huge, right? All right, my version, I think when I look at this slide, data that we can generate from our active projects, I think of when I was a project manager. We really aren't setting our project managers up for success. We introduce immediate risks to their projects, and then some of the results of that, okay? So we've got to do better. We've got to help our project teams in reducing risk and increasing collaboration, okay? Again, we've heard this throughout the day, increase in complexity, low margin, and high waste. Again, let's do something about it. Right? Why I'm here today is I want to work with you. I want to work with Richard and team on making a difference for our industry. I think we have a perfect storm brewing. We've heard about the increase in complexity. We know that data is abound. We have systems and technologies generating massive amounts of data. We're passionate about a common data environment and how that can impact the industry. And we have loads of disruptive technology. We have to get away from the bespoke and place in repeatable. We must integrate the supply chain. The one that's missing here is probably one I need to add is standards. We need to drive for standards. Systematize the process. I think if we do these things, we can truly have an impact on our industry. So our guess at it, if we can do better in these areas, we can drive at least 30% productivity gains. All right, that was the setup. I was asked today to talk to you a bit about cloud computing. Listen, when I'm in an audience like this, I debate how high level do I keep it, how low level can I take it. I probably pick something in the middle. I am not a cloud computing expert by any way, shape, or form. I've had the opportunity to help guide the company's cloud technology over the last 10 years. So I'll bring you back to a conversation that I had 8 years ago. In fact, 8 years ago this week. I had 30 top owners, EPCs, AEC firms in a conference room in Redwood Shores, California. And I had this massive whiteboard, and I drew a picture of a cloud. So in your mind, how would you draw a cloud, right? Big, fluffy thing. I was smart enough before this 4-hour session, it was in the evening, I brought in beer because I wanted these folks to kind of take a relaxed look at cloud. So 8 years ago, probably talking more about software as a service than infrastructure or platform. But it was amazing to listen to these folks talk about what they would never allow to be put in a cloud because of security concerns, cost, versus what they would put in the cloud. So 8 years ago, things like a schedule. They thought that was a good idea, have collaboration around schedules. They also thought having a better and more collaborative RFI, submittals process. But one thing they would absolutely never put in the cloud is cost data. Remember what I said earlier? $7 billion a month in cost and payment data in the cloud. So the industry has changed. The thinking has really changed. I wish I could show you. I did take a picture of the whiteboard 8 years ago. My phone on my camera wasn't all that great. It doesn't show up great in the lighting. If you'd like to see that, I do have it. I go back to that very often, especially some of those folks that were in the room are still in those same positions at their organizations today. And I kind of say, see, you were wrong. We made a difference. So if we think about the path to cloud, it really lines up around these three tenets. Folks are very encouraged to reduce the reliance on corporate data centers. No question. Most organizations are thinking about cloud first, and then if there's not an option in the cloud, go back to on-prem. I can tell you, in the last 2 years, I haven't found a single workload that we can't do in the cloud. Infrastructure, platform, or software. 8 years ago, I couldn't have the infrastructure or platform conversation. I can now. Most organizations are all in on cloud. Okay, so amazing changes over the past 8 years. The requirements are very similar. I'll pull out one that I think really resonates with me. This really hasn't changed. If I think back to that conversation, cost, compliance, governance, all important. Control, having the same levels of control, even though I always challenge that. Do you really want that much control? Are you introducing risk into your cloud or your on-premise environment because you have too much control? I'd say yes. But the one that's interesting to me, and I heard it come out several times today, is really around cloud orchestration. How we can change cloud-to-cloud connectivity. How we can make a difference and drive standards when we're not reliant on having APIs and point-to-point integrations. So more to come on that. And I do have to watch. I'm never going to make it through the entire presentation at this pace. I'll pick it up. Just some quotes that I've gathered up and some enterprise challenges. Again, I don't think there's a workload out there, and I think our AConX product has proven this, from a storage capacity, from a point of large workloads and large documents. I think we're proving this out. Another point, and I think about our industry every day, right? What better industry to have elasticity, to be able to be flexible. Projects start quickly, some of them end quickly, some of them go on hold, but again, the ability to drive that flexibility in our cloud. A couple quick points, maybe keep in focus the laptop. These are real numbers around workloads and adoption. Again, spending going down in data centers and up in cloud applications. More enterprises are adopting cloud and pushing cloud. If you look at the numbers, up 29% since 2017, 38% in 2018. So kind of putting some qualitative numbers behind the enterprise workloads. And then lastly, there is a strong public cloud initiative happening for almost every workload that's out there in our industries. Okay? So what's different about what companies like Oracle are doing today? And it really comes down to taking delivery along with infrastructure and building that all on what we call cloud-native engineering. So it's a combination. If I get into a little bit about cloud-native engineering, for us, there's 9 tenets that make up modern infrastructure. I'm not going to go into these. I'd be happy to talk to you about any one of these. I had a great discussion last night about the edge and how the edge and cloud computing at the edge is changing. So grab me after. We can surely talk about any of these components in our cloud infrastructure. The 7 tenets, and I'll go through these quickly. For me, it's all about not having the ability to change once the software is deployed. It's the biggest mistake companies make when they're deployed to a cloud. So number 1, no changes. Number 2, automate everything. Some of the biggest escalations I get in my day are instances of cloud where it's not automated. There's human intervention needed. Last, what I like to call repaving. Having the ability to repave the infrastructure without destroying the application. There may be something deep down in the architecture that needs changed, and we were able to repave that very quickly. Again, in the context of cloud-native engineering. Next, externalized configuration. No software configurations inside the software image. And this goes back as long as I've been doing technology. Don't embed SQL statements, settings, configurations in the software. Fifth, the telemetry that we're building. Today, in what I'll call the older version of cloud, too often the customer is finding out there's a problem the same time we are. And this goes for any company, not just Oracle. But the telemetry that we're building inside of our cloud-native engineering will keep us on our front foot, but more importantly, actions will be taken before the customer is even aware. The sixth is really about delegating governance. All too often in previous clouds from organizations, the governance was always on the application, but moving that governance more to the service owners of the infrastructure. And then last on cloud-native engineering is the ability at the microservice level to make a change. So think about that. You have software providers that you use every day, and they need to apply a patch to fix something, and they have to do an upgrade across your entire infrastructure. Well, not anymore. So firms that are doing true cloud-native engineering can actually go to that microservice, fix that microservice, and then redeploy it. Okay? So quickly on that. Listen, this isn't an Oracle commercial. Are we the only firm doing this? Absolutely not. iChart, but the cloud-native computing foundation has many members at various levels. So more to come. You'll hear more and more about cloud-native engineering as time goes on. All right. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of these. There's a couple that I will build out. What does it mean? So for us, we can provision a solution in under an hour from the time that you, the customer, tell us to go. Think back a year ago, it would take us 30 to 45 days to provision an instance of Primavera P6, just to give you an example. So tremendous impact. As your projects are starting up quickly, as joint ventures are forming, very quickly we can stay in step with you, okay? Age-old question, what's all that storage going to cost me? Listen, you will soon see that storage requirements will be removed from vendor service descriptions. We will not charge you for disk space, for document space, okay? Again, that's an impact of the next generation cloud. Let me go through quickly here. Probably the one on here that I, near and dear to my heart, is the recovery time objective when you have a disaster occur is going from 72 hours, pretty normal in the cloud world, down to less than 1. That's a big deal. So we're not talking about a simple fail, we're talking about a disaster, right? The facility is no longer operable. So big, big changes and value to the users in the community. Again, I talked a bit about this being much more reactive better telemetry, helps you and your experience. Trying to centralize this, or if you're our customer, we're trying to centralize this around single sign-on for all the applications that reside inside of us. All right, so from a timing perspective, I'm going to go through the true CDE environment on our open standards. Please join my colleagues tomorrow and learn more about what they're doing around the common data environment. But if I touch on a few slides and touch on collaboration, as many of you traveled here this week, you probably have come through one of our massive projects. This is an example of the data that we have collected on typical construction and engineering projects. If I build out this animation, this will give you an example of how organizations collaborate, the people that are involved, the amount of tasks that are being produced. And if you don't know the facility, it's the San Francisco International Airport. Okay, so a great example of us harvesting our data, having a common data environment that we can provide back to our owners and to our customers. Okay? Why it's important. We've heard this throughout the day. Transparency. Keeping our owners and our constructors on their front foot. Detecting things early. If you're on my development team, my motto is, bad news early is good news. Bring it to me early so we can plan and do something about it, right? So that's it. You'll hear more and more about our autonomous database technology. We have customers today telling us that the software is helping them adapt and be better, okay? So what we want is visibility, control, help us be on our front foot for our major projects. All right, in the last couple minutes I have here, I'm going to skip through some of this stuff quickly. We're working hard to bring our applications together to help form a neutral common data environment, but most importantly, wrapped with Oracle's security and scalability. Working on that hard every day. Two of my team members here. We're proud to have published our Dean spec. I think that happened last Friday. Again, our commitment to open standards. As I mentioned, roundtable tomorrow, pushing through the CDE work group. I'm excited and encouraged for what that will drive for us. And again, common data environment both on CEN and ISO. So it helps me as I'm guiding the development teams to do better, to make sure that we can operate in a common data environment and we have the ability to interact with all that are inside the ecosystem. All right, I'm going to blow through these quickly. There's one last video that I want to show before I go off. There's one request, and you guys know this. We can't do it alone. We wouldn't want to build software without your input. We wouldn't want to create standards in our products without your input. So the faster that we can develop and get to those, the better. All right, last bit from me in my final seconds here. I started a project a year ago called the Engineering Construction Innovation Lab. I put innovation on the backs of every single person that I work with. And a great quote, innovation is everyone's responsibility. It's a very simple strategy that we use for innovation. We build products. Been doing it for a long time. We acquire companies, 120 in the last 10 years. We must leverage Oracle. Why would I need to build my own IoT cloud? Why would I need to build my own autonomous database? There's lots of things that Oracle brings to the GBU, the Global Business Unit, that I leverage. Partners, you'll see in the video. Innovation, we're excited about opening our ecosystem to our partners and even to many startups. And last but not least, having our customers drive our innovation. So last thing for me is just a quick video, a 2-minute video on what we've created with our Innovation Lab.
The vision was to have as many partners and as many customers come together to learn. And really, we're here to learn.
All the biggest construction companies are actively looking for new technologies that can help them run their business better. And Oracle's the first one to bring those technologies together to showcase them in a real-life environment.
Innovation labs that allow you to interact and touch and feel and use the technology have always been more profound and more useful.
Today at the lab, we have experiences that show technologies on sensors, drones, autonomous vehicles, remote control, construction equipment, connected tools, material tracking solutions, worker alerts, and visualization tools for augmented reality and virtual reality.
By Oracle hand-selecting certain technologies that all do different things really well and trying to bring them all together shows that you could potentially interact with all these technologies in one platform.
A facility like this allows us to collaborate directly one-to-one, one-to-many, and help solve that industry problem around productivity so we can build more efficiently and effectively.
We can come, put our operations aside, and just roll up our sleeves and try something new in a safe environment here that Oracle is providing.
We are a very reactive industry, and in order to get to a proactive state, we have to move from manually capturing information to automating that data capture to get to a predictive state.
It's really the convergence of this digital world with this physical world, and it comes together, and there's really no better place than construction to actually see that happen.
We're here to get as much feedback as we can for our customers and understand how their connected ecosystem fits together in terms of the technology.
Customers and partners had a significant impact to the development of the site. We shared them the concept, we got their buy-in and their ideas, and we collaborated with partners and customers to develop it.
This is really just kind of the beginning, and we look forward to the future with Oracle.
Right now is the most exciting time to be in construction technology.
So with that, I'll wrap. Our partners that helped us build our innovation lab, 6 months. We heard a lot about agility today. 6 months from ideation to when we opened the door. That's pretty impressive. We couldn't have done that without tremendous alignment from our partners. Some of these you know, some of them you may not know. So we've got the big blue chip companies involved. We also have some startups involved. And listen, that ecosystem is open. There's no agreement in place that says these are the 9 that we're running with. They know that. We're adding partners every day. Since we started the lab, August 23rd, we've had 400 unique customers, organizations, and institutions come through. It's an outdoor facility, so we're a bit challenged with weather in Chicago, but we've had a great result. So quick shot from the drone. It's very simple, right? It's a construction trailer, a little bit more modern than most you've seen on the inside, but it's just a place that we can come and try technology. I'll leave you with this. We are in the final processes of getting our building permits to construct a 35,000 square foot facility indoors, very cold in Chicago. The polar vortex was rough on some of us this winter. But we will hopefully have the doors opened on our indoor facility on around the spring of 2020. So with that, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Andy.